Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening to Sam J Has Questions. I hope you're doing fantastic. I know I am almost fantastic. That's okay. That's all right. That's almost fantastic. We can have that opinion. Almost fantastic. My guest today was fantastic. Oh, you see what I did there? My guest today on the episode is Ahmed Bharoocha, a stand-up comedian and actor. You can see him on Conan O'Brien, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Adam Devine's House Party, and the Adult Swim show Dreamcore LLC, which is going to be on Hulu September 21st. I definitely recommend you check out season 2 of that show. The episode is all about stand-up. Oh man, I loved getting into the nitty-gritty of writing jokes and word economy and how Ahmed came up with some of my favorite jokes that he performed. I nerded out, guys. I comedy nerded the F out. And he's a great dude. He's a great guy to talk to. So if you haven't already, I recommend checking Ahmed Bharoocha out on all of his social media. Go see him perform live. See him tell some of those jokes we talk about. It is a blast. So without further ado, guys, just enjoy the interview. We hit record. I'm going to leave this AC on because without it, We'll die. So everyone who's listening, there's an air conditioner 2 feet behind me. So that's the room tone you're hearing. But it's worth it.
Yeah,
it's worth it.
Calming.
It's a white noise. Do you ever listen to white noise machines to get
I didn't
some sleep?
used to. Then I had my son, and they do when they're a baby.
Oh, okay.
Listen to sound machines, like it's ocean waves, and then I listen to it through his like monitor, and now I need it. It's weird.
Whoa.
Yeah, now even when I'm like on the road, I'll turn on a ocean.
So he can't or couldn't sleep without it? I'm assuming
we never really even checked. It was like a good tip of like, hey, put a sound machine on, because then it's kind of like you can make noise outside the room because there's already something going on.
Yeah.
And it kind of protects from any like creaks and
gotcha.
There's already something.
It's my writing partner just had a baby. He's 4 months old. Rohit,
awesome.
You know Rohit.
Oh, yeah. Congrats, Rohit.
And he started a podcast called Call Me Papa, where he's interviewing people about like parenting advice and whatnot.
Yeah.
And there's just so much information out there.
Mm-hmm.
I almost, I'm learning through him, just like so and so told me this, or the doctor says we can't do this or this, and it's almost like just so overwhelming.
Yeah, for me, it is definitely overwhelming. I kind of try to soak in as much as I can and not be too hard on myself about it.
Okay. What was something that you're like, I need to do this or else my child's life will be horrible, and then you realize, it's not really that necessary?
Ooh, that's hard. I guess, in the beginning, you're just so nervous about every little thing. You're like, oh, what if they don't get used to this or they get used to that? Or
okay.
I'm trying to think. What was like a specific...
How old is your son?
He's about to turn 2 next week.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. Even TV, I don't really like to have him to just have the TV on all day.
Okay.
But I think the doctor said no TV for the first year.
Really?
Which I think we were pretty good for the first 6 months. I mean, in the beginning, TV doesn't do anything for them. But
they're like, hey, we're watching Conan.
We broke the before 1 year. We were just like, yeah, let them see, we're not going to plop them in front of the TV and just have them watch TV all day, but...
It will just blow their mind, or TV. They just don't want...
They said it's, bad for their eye development a little bit.
Oh,
if they
wow.
Just... Because the light is kind of fast or something.
That makes me scared that we can watch TV.
Yeah, I know. It's bad for all of us.
We're just...
I think moderation. That's what I think. Sometimes people want to say one thing or the other, but it's like, okay.
It's just be reasonable.
Pay attention, check in, and relax a little bit.
Yeah, it's tough. His son got a cold.
Oh, yeah.
On 2 days ago. We had a little 4-month birthday for him. And then the next day he got a cold, and they were just so freaking out. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, well, they're going to be getting colds for the rest of their lives.
Time, yeah.
But I guess, they're...
Yeah, in the
small.
moment, you're just like, whoa, what if this is it? What if it's gone? What do I do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have so much respect
it's crazy
for new parents.
But it's super. Yeah, at the beginning, it's just feels like you jumped in a ice bath, and you're just like, whoa, whoa.
But like, isn't there some sort of calming to understand like human beings have been having children since there were human beings?
Yeah,
and
I
like
try to
think
have
of like
that
your
mantra,
parents' generation, and
for
like
sure.
they were just like having babies and just throwing them right into the field of work and do stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
but sometimes babies will die. It happens.
yeah, let's take a moment.
It's not likely, but you're just like, I don't want my baby to be the one.
Oh no!
It's like, hey, where were you? Why weren't you watching your baby? Oh, because people have been having babies. I don't know.
Oh, that's your reasoning.
Yeah. You want to be on high alert.
I put an iPad in there. I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus, what more do you want me to do?
My dad, and my mom, I guess, they're both very like paranoid, nervous people that are constantly thinking doom is everywhere. So that is instilled in me. So I still have it, and I think I'm passing it along. But then I try to check in and go, okay, just relax.
There's like a anxiety that they kind of have,
Yeah.
or what's their? I know you have jokes about.
Yeah, my dad specifically, and I've definitely inherited it now. He could just see the danger in every single object, and he just sees the word. Like, not that he thinks it's going to happen, but you see it happening. Like, I'll just see a corner, and I'm like, oh, if he trips, smashes his eye right in there, just no more eye.
Yeah.
You're like,
now my son
so
has
unlikely,
a patch.
so unlikely to happen, but you just see it. You're like, oh, this corner, right, took his eye out.
So you're doing like damage control.
Yeah, I'm constantly seeing like, oh, that knife's on that edge. Oh, this thing's over here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's, and it's most likely not going to happen, but I just see it all. It's like just the Terminator. You're just calculating every. Like the other day, I was in the closet, and my wife had put our safe on a shelf, like up, because it was kind of in the way on the ground. And I was like, this is so heavy. If there's an earthquake,
oh no,
and he's playing right here, smash, this thing will come down on him.
Yeah, he'll be squashed.
And he doesn't even play over there, but it's still just like,
it's like anything's possible.
Exactly.
Gosh, yeah, that is kind of crazy. Has your like relationship or what you act around adults changed based on like having this like, now you have this lens of like, this can happen, like, you know what I mean? Like, do you find yourself doing that in other situations?
Yeah, well, for sure. I think I just see death everywhere now. Like, even actually today I was just driving here and someone cut me off, and then they got in a car accident, and I partly felt
right ahead of you.
Yeah, like they cut me off, and I was like, I hate this person, and then just watched.
What kind of car was it? I need the details.
Like a little white car.
It's always little white cars.
Some lady was driving it, and she wouldn't let me in, and she cut me off, and then went down, and then just, I don't know what happened. I just slowly went into a big rig.
Oh no!
And it looked like they were okay. They just kind of like collided.
She rear-ended it, or it
no,
was like
she
a
just
merge?
like went into the side of him.
Okay.
I don't know if she was trying to get in front of him and didn't see him, but I don't know how you couldn't see a giant big rig.
Yeah.
But she just went into his lane and they just crunched together.
Oh god. She didn't like Fast and the Furious underneath it.
No, it was like very slowly just. And then I was kind of like, haha. But then the rest of the way, I'm like, oh god, what if I was 2 seconds behind that and that thing flipped over and crushed me too?
Yeah. It's carrying gasoline or something.
Yeah, and then everyone's dead.
Jesus.
We're all dead.
Wow. That's
but we're not.
But we're not. We're good.
Here.
We're here.
We're not dead yet.
That should be the name of the podcast.
We're not dead yet.
Thanks for listening. We're not dead yet. So I had watched an interview that you did right before your special had come out, and you were promoting it.
Okay.
So I feel like a lot of my questions got answered in that.
Oh, cool.
So that always like gives me more pressure to be like, all right, let's dig a little bit deeper.
So go listen to that.
Yeah, like just cut this off. But like, there's certain things, I'm like, where are you from? Like,
yeah.
Like we can go through that.
Sure.
I know
you were. I'll
you
answer
were
all your
like,
questions.
I'm gonna tell his bio. He was born in California.
Ooh, wow,
I don't. What city?
Santa Barbara, California.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
You were in what part? Like, I went to school in Santa Barbara.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I lived in Goleta and down
nice.
kind of the La Mesa. The first place was La Mesa, which is kind of up on a cliff somewhere. And then I lived in Goleta for the rest of it.
Okay. What brought your family to that area?
My dad went to school at UCSB. He came there from Pakistan. And my mom just followed her sister to Santa Barbara, where her her brother-in-law was from, and they
Okay.
both just got a job at a ranch, San Ysidro Ranch,
Okay.
where like Reagan and stuff would go vacation,
Whoa.
and that's where my parents met, and then they fell in love, had some kids, and then we moved to Rhode Island when I was 16. So we left.
Was that for
sunny California
for work purposes, or was there?
My mom was from Rhode Island, and
Oh,
she
okay.
wanted to live back with like her parents, and they were getting older, so we wanted to take care of them in their twilight years.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And does she come from a big family?
Yeah, pretty big family. Both of my parents have 7 kids in their families.
Oh wow.
Uh-huh.
So you got a lot of cousins.
Yeah, lots of cousins.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And you have one other sibling?
2 siblings.
Two
An older
siblings.
sister and a younger sister.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
What was it like being in the middle? Were you like Malcolm?
Yeah, I liked it a little bit, but also being the only boy, sometimes you kind of felt like teamed up on or
Okay.
left out. But it was kind of cool too, because you can kind of go in between. You're like the closest in age to both of them, so you can play with your older sister, and then like if you're annoyed with her, I'm gonna go play with my younger sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of feel close to both. I think being in the middle.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
I'm an only child, so I
Oh,
don't
really?
have. It was just my mom.
Did you have any cousins?
I had a lot of cousins.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Were
that
they
was
close by?
A few of them were, yeah.
That's cool.
But yeah, it's a similar thing of like 5 kids. So there's like so many cousins and then second cousins, and
Yeah.
it gets crazy. So yeah, I guess the cousins are kind of the next
Yeah,
best thing.
they'll count.
But-
Any close to your age?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. A few months younger.
Okay, nice. So
And
you
like
had
a
someone
year
to
ago.
kind of fend off and get
Yeah.
along with.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
he has a son now who's 3, and I'm his godfather. So that's
Oh,
like
nice.
the new
Yeah.
part of the family is
Yeah, so
growing
you are
and
close.
whatnot.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's your sibling right there.
Pretty much, yeah. It's rewarding. So, but it's funny, like, he was afraid of me for, like, the first 2 years of his life.
Really?
Just, like, he would look at me and then turn his head and not look.
Really?
And
Do
like,
you look like your cousin at all?
I look exactly like his dad.
Maybe that's what he's like. Dad's clone.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, he's here to replace my father.
Exactly. But now he's cool with me. And I attribute it to, like, 3 different hangouts.
Okay.
Because it's just, like, you got to be
Yeah.
around him. You
Yeah,
got to spend
exactly.
time with him. So my family they're very active. They go to the beach a lot, and my
Mhm.
uncle skis and whatnot,
Oh.
water skis. So I went to the beach with them, and while we were there, we were waiting in the parking lot, and we had a bunch of grapes, and I decided to start throwing the grapes in the air and
Yeah.
catching them in my mouth.
Oh.
And that was the greatest thing
Crushed
he'd
it.
ever seen.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm destroying with him right now. I'd throw it higher,
Yeah.
and then I'd make a noise like, oh, and catch it, or it'd fall, and he loved it.
Man, I love that age because you just little tricks are just the best thing they've ever seen.
Exactly. I felt like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was destroying, and then his grandfather started doing. I'm like, hey, this is kind of my thing, man.
Yeah,
What are you
yeah,
doing?
yeah.
Don't take.
Hey,
don't-
dude.
you don't know how hard I've
Stealing
worked
my
for this.
bits.
Yeah. So now we're cool.
Nice.
But it took that time to like
Yeah.
warm up and
You gotta.
and I took it
make a
personally
connection.
too. I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, it is funny how like I'll see my son all day, so I'm so comfortable with him. But then someone comes to visit and he just doesn't interact with them, at
Yeah.
first. And it's just because that's kind of kids' default is just to be like, I don't know you. Okay, I'll be over here.
Right.
And you're like, hey, say hi to them, and they're just like, no. But then it's like once that person does something that kind of connects with them or piques their interest, they're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I guess that's
you're now
good.
my friend.
You don't want your kids, I guess, too
Yeah.
trusting, right? Or
Yeah.
like anyone.
Yeah, you want them like a medium amount of trust
Ah, man, it's such a
to be polite to guests, but not get kidnapped.
Jeez. So what was the first year or so like? I guess maybe even before that, when you found out your wife was pregnant,
Yeah.
like getting ready for it, like as far as okay, what's my work schedule going to be like? Was there, how much, I guess, preparation or
yeah,
like what changed?
I think we did a lot of like prepping around the house, planning. My wife's really good at like researching and like buying the best products. You like buy the right crib, buy the right car seat, buy the right stroller, buy the bottles. There's just so much information, like you were saying, out there, and so much advice that could be overwhelming. But she's really good at just kind of like going down a wormhole and coming out with a really killer. Like we got a really cool stroller. I'm like, oh, nice. I never would have picked this one. I would have just Googled
Just-
stroller, got that one, and gone with it.
Sure.
But so yeah, there was a lot of like prepping. You get the baby room ready, and you take classes and stuff like that. But then the baby gets there, and you're just like, oh God, we didn't do any kind of preparing.
Oh no, yeah, you see what you got to,
Yeah,
what
and
you
then
didn't
just
do,
get
or
into
you're like,
it.
how would I have known?
Yeah, and then you kind of just, at least for the first few months, you forget all else other than this baby.
Okay.
Yeah, you didn't do much stand up, didn't do much anything. Just kind of, it was kind of nice too. It was like overwhelming, but also just like refocusing your life to just be like, oh, this is what matters.
Sure.
I gotta keep this little thing alive and happy, and hopefully turn into a not murdering human or something. You
Yeah,
know?
that's what you want.
Not, yeah. So kind of gives you like a shifting of importance in your life. And also then when I would go out and do stand up, it kind of made me relax a little bit more, because before, when it was just like, okay, I gotta, every show I need to do better, I gotta like get on this show, I gotta get on that show, I gotta get a special or a late night or whatever, and that stuff's still important. But now it's like, oh, this is also fun. I'm also just like out of the house talking to adults, so
Yeah.
kind of made that part fun again, and maybe not so serious about every single set hopefully mattering in the big scheme of things.
Was there a moment, I guess that's the answer to the question I'm about to say, but like, was there specific things that you had either put pressure on for yourself to do, and then you either got it and you realized like, oh, this wasn't necessary, my pressure, or is there anything that stands out where,
I mean, most things I think in comedy feel that way, where you're trying to reach for a certain thing, and maybe you think that's the thing that's gonna lead to all the rest of the things. And I think that's almost true with every step that I've had in comedy. Or just like, oh, all I want to do is get in this club, this one club. If I can get in this club, I'll be made in the shade. And you get in the club and you're just like, okay, this is cool, but okay, what's next? It's not changing the game. Absolutely. And I think that's even true with like a TV set. My first TV set, oh my God.
which was
My first
was it
TV
Conan?
set was Adam Devine's House
House
Party
Party.
on Comedy Central.
Where did you film that?
That was
that the one in Hawaii?
No, no. I was the first season where they
You were
just
just
filmed
the
it like
backyard.
like 2 hours north of here in some
Santa Clarita?
just like mansion, little gated community type thing.
Okay.
But then the next year they went to New Orleans and
Yeah.
then Hawaii, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? But we filmed it just close by here in LA, and that was really cool. But it wasn't like, oh, now I just get to go to any room I want, or I'm making a bunch of money, So still had to then, okay, now I got to get another TV set. Then the next one was Conan,
Yeah.
I think, or it might have been something
lately?
smaller in between. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think I did like a set on Vice or some,
for
Flophouse
the
or something
Flophouse.
like that. And then even that YouTube, I feel like when I started to now, like there's so many different ways of getting your stuff out there, or even like a set on YouTube is kind of, or just something that plays is like a mini little late night set.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask you about. The Adam Devine one has 13,000 views.
Yeah, and you know what? They didn't put those out. That's what was kind of frustrating.
Did you
about
just
it.
put that up
I just put
yourself?
it on.
That's what it looked
Yeah,
like.
just
You You just ripped it off.
I was just like, hey, no one saw this, so I'm gonna put it out there.
Yeah, it's in some sense. So you've been doing stand up like 14 years or so?
15.
15.
15, I guess. What year? Yeah, 15.
So like, and whenever YouTube started popping up and Twitter was like 2006 or 8 or like
remember, yeah.
around that time. So it seems frustrating in the sense of, okay, I'm just putting stuff up, and it's like you can now just put a set up, and that's your calling card, and more people are watching your set than like actually Conan's show or whatnot. But it gets frustrating when I'm like, okay, I've been putting stuff up there for like 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And someone explained it to me. They're like, just think of it as like a stockpile. It's an investment in what
but
you have.
I also try to take things down too.
Oh, okay.
I go through and like every once in a while I'll see like old sets and be like, I gotta get that off of there. I don't like that set anymore.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's not so frustrating to me as it's just kind of cool that now there's less barriers for you to get your stuff out there. Maybe there's more people making stuff and it's a little oversaturated, but I think that's kind of okay. It's just like people are making stuff, and some people are enjoying it, some people aren't, and maybe you'll poke through the sea of a bunch of other stuff. But but it's cool that you can just make a video in your house, put it on your computer, and if someone wants to see it, they can see it.
Yeah, you can watch a bunch of old sketches and like, I guess that's the part that he was trying to tell me is like, if people, look at you, they can go back and listen to like 50 episodes you recorded like from 3 years ago, or all these sketches, or like Dead Kevin, you guys put out a sketch every week, so they can go back and see what the first one was, to and see that sort of progress.
It puts that power in the hands of the creator a little bit. Yeah. In some ways, sometimes YouTube, I'm sure, is getting a lot for the ads that maybe the creators aren't as much, or I don't know, but at least you have the ability to reach an audience if you want.
What does the Ahmed Bharoocha audience look like? Is there a certain Ahmed fan?
Usually they're like kind of shy, quiet people, I think, or
okay.
I think at least those are the people that I interact with a little bit. Yeah, I think usually like kind of calmer, quiet folks. Okay. Like people, oh, hey, I like your stuff, Yeah. Like that. Yeah, I don't know what an Ahmed Bharoocha fan is. People are nice. People are all sweet, I think.
I like asking that question because sometimes people, once you put your stuff out there, it's up to everyone else how they want to interpret it.
That's true. Yeah, like Dead Kevin fans, I feel like they're really young, or more young. Like people I know that are my friends watch it, but then the average person that I'll run into that watches it is just like a college boy or like a high school boy. And you kind of, not that we were going for that, but then it's funny that that's kind of what ends up happening. It's just like, oh, these people really connect with my immature comedy.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I mean, I try to think about that too. I'm like, oh, what is the Sam J fan like? Well, they all have mustaches. And mustache fan club. I don't know. I really don't know. If you like it, I hope
Yeah, exactly. I'll take whatever I can get.
Well, it's just interesting to think of like the views and likes are like people voting.
Yeah,
it's a vote, and Instagram, you can post stories and you can see how many people are going through your story, and then how many people are skipping once they see the first one. So you're like, okay, they didn't really fuck with that, and they were like, screw this, and they left. But then you see like, holy shit, that's a lot of people that like made it through the first three.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, if I had 100 people in a room doing stand-up too, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But yet this weird metric for social media, it's like low, however many followers you have. Like I try to like change that perspective to like, if there were, that many people who came to every show, and it would be insane.
It's just so much easier to sit on your phone and watch a 15-second thing,
Yeah, there's no commitment to it.
But I also think it's also good to not put too much weight in that. Or, I know like things go viral and it's cool, but it's also, to me, it's less satisfying. Like stand up, when you're in the room and you're making people laugh, feels so good to me. Whereas like putting videos out, which I love doing, even if like 1 million people see it, you're still like, oh, I wonder what they thought. But stand up, it's like 20 people in a room, you're saying the jokes and they're laughing, kind of giving you that immediate feedback. It's priceless, I think.
Yeah.
So, however, YouTube stars or Instagram stars and stuff, they can get all the clicks and the likes and the comments, but I don't know, something about being in the same room as people will never lose its charm.
Yeah, it's something very special, and when I'm writing a bunch and I'm shooting videos and I don't have that stand-up immediacy, I'm like, oh, like I'm just gonna go do stand-up. Like I work with a 13-person sketch group at the Pack Theater down below us at the complex, and the process for making that show is like 2 weeks of writing, and then we vote, and then we're rehearsing, and I'm just like, I know this is funny, or like, I'm just gonna go take this idea that I have right now and go to an open mic and get laughs.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's no like, what, I don't know. I'm like, they said it. They laugh. You know,
Yeah,
like there's.
exactly.
I feel like am I too, like, the formula is too. You know, like it makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
But
You know, and it's fun to do other stuff like that. Like I love collaborating and making sketches and filming stuff, but it doesn't have the same gratification that getting people in the room to laugh has.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, but you went to school for acting?
Yeah, I started
On the East Coast?
college as an engineer and then didn't do a good job at that. And I was taking acting classes on the side.
Okay.
So
through the school or like through just
through the school. Just like, I want to take some acting class. I always wanted to, do that. But I thought, I'll be an engineer and then I can afford to do that, which was crazy to me. Thinking that now.
However you
it's like, how could
rationalized it.
I'll
be a
have time.
full-time engineer.
And I'll just also dedicate a bunch of time to this other thing.
Sure.
But yeah, after a while, it was like maybe 4 years in, I needed to graduate, and I just found a way to graduate with a degree in theater. I was taking the acting classes, but I wasn't taking any of the other requirements. And so I had like a really nice like guidance counselor and my girlfriend at the time. They both just like helped me figure out how to like get a theater degree in like 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Because it was like, I just had all these maths and sciences. And then,
but you didn't do all of like the requirements
No.
for whatever the bachelor's acting program was.
Because it was like all these side things, like all I did was the acting stuff, but it was like, you got to do like theater history, costume history, like stage design, like just build some sets, put all these hours in of all these other things that I just didn't do because I was just acting on the side.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it took me 6 years to graduate.
Were you doing plays during that time?
Yeah,
or like video? Was there video stuff?
I wasn't a major, so I didn't have to audition. But
okay.
I think once I auditioned a little bit. I still hate auditioning, but I was in a couple of plays in the school. Those were fun. Yeah, it was cool. I did Pride and Prejudice. I was Mr. Collins, and I did True West. I was not the main two guys. I was some other guy in that movie.
Okay. I'm shaking my head, but I have no idea what that is.
It's like Sam Shepard. It's cool.
Okay.
It's like kind of like a brother fucked up dark comedy where like one of them's a writer and one of them's just like a con artist fuck up.
Okay.
And like it kind of the con artist fuck up like pitches an idea to like the guy's agent and he's like, "That's great, let's make it." And they kind of flip. And the con artist tries to like figure out how to write,
acting and stuff,
and the other brother kind of goes insane and tries to kill him, and it's a fun play.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So then you had graduated, and there was that when you started doing stand up?
I started doing stand up when I was still an engineer, actually, or like I started taking acting classes. I think like the first year of college, I was just like in engineer land. And I felt so frustrated because I had wanted to do comedy and theater before that. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like I wasn't doing anything creative. And so about 2 years into that, I was also working at a comedy club as a busboy. And
that was in
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island, okay.
Yeah.
Is that club still open?
No, it closed like the second week I did comedy.
Oh, wow.
Which is funny. It was like I worked there for a year. I was like, I finally got the courage to do comedy there. And then the next week they closed. I was like, this is the only spot I knew.
Oh, man.
But yeah, so it was just kind of wasn't feeling creative. So I started taking acting classes and started doing stand-up around the same time. Sophomore year of college.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was cool.
So you were, engineering stuff. Yeah. And then you're like, I'm going to start writing jokes.
Yeah.
And go performing.
Mm-hmm.
How did you know what to do?
Ooh, that was hard. It took me like a long time. I just had a notebook and I would actually like sit in my car and turn a camcorder on. I remember like before I'd go to class and just talk out jokes because I didn't know. I knew that I was like funny with my friends, but I just didn't know how to stand up there and say an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Because before that, being funny is just in a conversation where someone says something and you retort. You're like, bah. But it was hard for me to figure out, okay, I think this is funny. How do I get up there and present it to an audience?
Okay.
So what helped was just talking into a camera so that I had someone that was listening, even though it was just future me. Like instead of in a mirror, some people say they do a mirror, but I always felt silly. I'd stop 2 sentences in and be like, what
the fuck am I doing?
What am I doing? Yeah. But the fact that there was like some kind of audience to the camera, I was able to like, get through my thoughts, and then I'd watch it and go, oh, that sounded funny, or there's no point there, or it just kind of helped me at least gather my thoughts enough to go up and say them to strangers.
Gotcha.
And that took like probably a year of writing and just hoping that I would get the guts to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, of just working on material and
I had like a binder that I would bring around and just sit there and write so many ideas, and none of them I probably ever performed.
Oh wow.
It was just like.
Could you go back now and?
I would like to try to find that.
Like I got a whole new hour.
Because they would always be like really long
jokes.
Yeah, it was just like like a 2-page joke, and then never said out loud to a person.
Written out completely.
Kinda. I wasn't very
or like a shorthand, like.
Yeah, like rambly. It was very rambly. Like
okay.
Just kind of. Oh, this is funny, and then the other thing about this thing is it's got a blah 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 blah. Like
yeah.
Nothing that was like curated to be that sharp.
So like cut to like I don't know 3 years later. I know you started going into Boston to do open mics and shows there.
Yeah, so I just started when I was in college in Rhode Island. And there wasn't a comedy scene around there that much. I mean, there was a little bit in northern Rhode Island, but near my college there wasn't. So kind of was like on an island a little bit, and it was mostly like older guys in Rhode Island. And so 3 years of that, I kind of thought, oh, I'm like the young guy and around the scene. And then I did a show with some people that were from Boston, and then it opened this door to me of like, oh, there's a ton of guys my age and girls my age that are all doing comedy every day. I was like, wow. Like in Rhode Island, I was doing it like once a month at first. I thought that was a lot. And I just talked to someone else like, oh, yeah, in Boston, we should do it every day. You're like, oh, I didn't even know you could do it every day.
You're like, on Tuesdays?
Yeah, on Tuesdays.
There's comedy on Tuesdays?
So that was really, like, exciting. That was probably, like, one of the most exciting times of my career was when I found, like, oh, there's this playground of shows up in Boston and a bunch of comedians that are kind of like-minded to me doing comedy there. So then I just spent, like, the next 4 years driving up from Rhode Island to Boston.
Jeez.
Doing comedy as much as I could.
And what did you notice as far as, like, how the scene was there and either how the material was presented? Because you spent so much time thinking of like, how do I say, or how do I set this up?
Yeah.
Did you notice a specific style for how material was set up? Was there more crowd work and then going into material? Like,
I don't know. Like in Boston versus Rhode Island?
Well, Boston, and then I'm ultimately going to get to when you came to LA as well, but
I
like what you learned, you're like, oh my God, this is a cool trick they're doing, or
that's kind of hard. I wouldn't. I would say like, what I liked about this one club specifically in Boston was like the Comedy Studio. I felt like people were trying to be kind of not strange, but thoughtful. Maybe that's the word, I guess. Kind of thoughtful with their material, or it's hard. Like Rhode Island was kind of more like, it was mostly older guys, and they'd kind of do a lot of crowd work, but it was like crowd work that didn't really make me laugh. It was kind of like repetitive. They'll be like, hey, look at this guy. He's got a meatball in his tie and he's an idiot, Yeah. Whereas like kind of you went up to Boston, maybe they were doing some more like experimental type stuff, or there's just like a lot of younger people, I think, which kind of helped excite you about the way to do comedy. And everyone was kind of different, so people had different ways to approach the material. But I don't know. It was just like younger and more, and there was still like older guys too, but it was like the mix of just, I think in Rhode Island it was kind of like the old guard of people who were kind of like, I'm going to do 45 minutes on this show. You can go after me and do 10 to people who would prefer to see me. Whereas Boston, it was like, hey, we're all doing 5.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's all
there was more of a community?
Yeah, I'd say, a little bit more of a community and kind of more, just more for everyone, I'd say. I feel like that, yeah. But yeah, the material-wise...
Did you move to Boston?
No, I never did.
Oh, okay.
I just drove up there all the time.
Gotcha.
It was about like an hour away.
Okay.
And I missed that time. That was a really fun time.
Just driving back and forth.
Driving back and forth and like feeling like, you know, you were like part of something cool, and like there was a community. In LA, it's like I feel like less community. It's like because they're so big.
Oh yeah, there's a different community.
Yeah,
like
and you kind of all go
East
home.
Coast or East Side, and
like Boston, it was like we're gonna go to this show, and then afterwards we're gonna eat at IHOP for the rest of the night and talk about comedy.
Who are some of those people? Are they out here now?
Oh yeah, well my best friend Tim Vargulish, we would drive from Rhode Island. He lived near me in Rhode Island, and that's kind of how we became best friends. Was just driving up there. We met at college, and he's out here now. Gary Peterson actually moved out here recently. He was another guy that we would see all around Boston and just do shows together. Yeah, a lot of them have moved out now, I guess, but some people are still back there. Matt Donaher.
Okay.
He's out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm lucky that they're all, but we don't see each other as much, you know?
Sure.
Out there, it was like, you're all next to each other. Here, we're like, oh, I'll see you when I see you.
Yeah, there's a weird part of the relationship where you see, you know, there's guys that we would do 4 mics a night. We're all driving every night. Like, I saw them more than my family. Mm-hmm. And then just 3 years later, it's like, dude, I barely see them.
Yeah.
Or you're like, oh, I just see them online, you know, social media.
Yeah, exactly.
And
yeah, that even when I first moved to LA and I was hitting like a mic every day at least, and that was, you just become this community, which is cool. But then as soon as you stop doing those mics, you don't never see those people again, because it's just not the same setting as before.
Yeah.
Now it's like, before it was we were all at these places because we needed to be there. And it's harder to get people together to just, drive over to my part of town and we'll hang out.
Yeah, that's tough. What were the mics that you started going to out here at first?
Ooh, that's I remember I did a lot of Sunset Grill, which I don't know if exists anymore, Hollywood Hotel, Days Inn, Liquid Zoo somewhere in the valley, Tribal Cafe.
Yeah.
There was like Palms. I would just do so many. I don't even remember. Like, it was just like I was trying to. My goal was to just hit as many as I could because they weren't great quality, and I also didn't really have a thick skin. And hitting more of them kind of helped me with that. Mm-hmm. It was like, okay, I don't care if it was just one. If I went to one in that night, then it would really hit me hard if I bombed. You know, that sucked. That's all I'm doing today. But if you'd hit 3, then even if you bomb 2 of them, you still might do okay on the 3rd.
Yeah, for sure.
So it kind of just kept you on your toes and kept you moving, kept you thinking of the next one, and it really helped writing wise, because a lot of the people are the same people at these mics, and you just didn't want to say the same thing over and over to them. On the flip side, it sucked because you didn't really ever
work on
craft a joke, which I really like doing. So sometimes it would just be stuff I would say that week and never say again, which is unfortunate. But it also felt good that your brain was constantly trying to like
create,
form an idea to tell people quickly.
Yeah. That is the tough part with like, how do I think about, you know, crafting something? I'm like, like, what should I be working on? What should I be doing? You know, like, I'm not touring. Yeah. I'm not doing hours. And I talked to another comedian, JF Harris, and he's like, just work on getting a 5-minute killer set, then a 10-minute killer set, and then a 20-minute like feature set, and like just do that. Yep, for sure. And I'm like, okay, like, how do you prepare? You know, going from, you know, every sets in LA are like 7 minutes, maybe 5 to 7. And if you're not doing the road a bunch, how did you like put together the material that you wanted to do for your album and for your special? And like, I mean, I know like late night you have shorter sets, so like that's what I guess you can do. At the
point where I did my half hour, I was able to tour a little bit more and kind of stretch my legs more often than you would in LA, so that helped. And I think you really kind of want to be doing that at that point. I would say, like, if you're gonna do a long set on TV, you want to do a long set in front of an audience before you do it, because it feels, you can't just, even if it's 3 great 10-minute sets, if you haven't said it all out loud together, you don't know if it's paced right or if it fits all together, or if the audience gets tired after a while, you know, because you could tell 10 minutes to this crowd and then 10 minutes to the next crowd and 10 minutes to the next crowd, and they all loved it. But if you stacked them next to each other, maybe they were could get bored halfway through and go, okay, I get what you're doing. I'm kind of bored now, or I don't know. It helps to really actually do it, but I think he's right. You want to focus on that 5-minute set, because doing like a late night set, or even like a set on like the Laugh Factory or something that's not necessarily on TV but is like maybe people are going to see, will help you then get those tour dates or get those longer sets, so that you can work on a longer set. But cracking that tight, perfect 5-minute set that you could do on auditions, and you can do that's one of your first tools as a young stand-up comic, I'd say. And really making sure that it's a tight 5. It's not just a funny 5 minutes. It's like you're being efficient with your time. You're getting as much in there as you can. Because if you only have 5 minutes, you gotta, get rid of the fat.
I love the fat.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of stand-up.
You can bring it back in. You can bring the fat back in. That's what I like to do too. Is it's like just strip away stuff and then bring it back. When you're doing the longer set, bring the fat back in.
Yeah.
The fat doesn't have to be in the short set.
It's so odd when you get used to saying something maybe with a little
yeah, it's hard.
And
to
then
change.
when you go shorter, you're like, oh shit, that thing kind of propelled me to the next piece of this bit, and it. Or you forget, you're like, oh shit, I forgot that part.
Yeah.
Because I didn't say this other piece.
Yeah.
That's a.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember not thinking about it much in the beginning, was like word economy. And I think sometimes people can focus too much on it, and it's like, okay, sometimes this is just how I say it, and that's who I am. But if you don't think about it at all, then you're doing, I think, yourself a huge disservice. It's like, okay, you think about it, try to think about it from like the TV booker's point of view. It's like on the late night sets, you're the last thing, and people are done mostly with the show. So you got to be funny fast. You can't like get your first laugh like a minute into your set, because these people don't know who you are.
Yeah. And
they have so many other options. They're going to change the channel. So for someone to put you on their TV show, they want you to be like efficient with your humor,
Yeah.
So it's helpful. It's helpful to kind of tighten it up and just get people to know what you're talking about quickly.
Is this something that working with a manager kind of taught you, or like what was
No, I would say that I learned from kind of seeing comics ahead of me do late night and them talk about it. And I think like when I was in Boston, Eddie Brill, who had booked Letterman at the time, he would come through and kind of talk about it. And I remember at first I was just like, oh, that's such like a lame way to do art. Is like, oh, am I getting this many jokes per minute? Which I do think, you can't focus on it too much and get caught up on it. But look at your set and be like, oh, like how long does it take me to get the first laugh? Even if it's not a big laugh, like, and that matters in a short set. It might not matter in a long set when you're headlining. You can come out and kind of dilly-dally and be like, hey, how you guys doing? They're there to see you. But on like a late night thing or a short, quick set, like they're not necessarily there to see you. So you got to like kind of connect with them quickly. Doesn't mean you have to come out and go, blah, 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 I'm funny. But, don't waste words. Don't waste their time.
So how do you then structure your material? I mean, there's 3 jokes that I can talk to you about. One is the cow joke.
Yeah.
That I've probably seen you do it maybe 20 times.
Yeah.
in the like, and I love it every time.
Thanks.
And it's something where it never feels like the audience is ahead of you either.
Cool.
And they're going through it with you, and you give them time
to catch up,
to make that connection.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things. I wish I had more jokes like that, but I think like Bob Newhart did that a bunch, which I really like, is like almost not saying the punchline and letting everyone say it in their head.
Yeah. So
yeah, that joke is like one of my only ones where I have that, where I kind of lead them up to the punchline and then just
you
wait.
Don't say it.
Yeah, and sometimes people won't all get it, but as long as enough first few people get it and laugh, then it makes the rest of the people go like, oh, what did I miss? Oh, cool, there it is. And it's just kind of really fun moment to have with the audience, to be like, You wrote that joke.
Oh yeah, that's kind of, I didn't even think about it that way. But that specific bit, like, where did it start? Did you have the line of like, then we're putting, like, you picked up a milk and you're like, that's so weird. There's a photo of that.
That
like,
came later.
And then you're like,
the first idea was just I remember I was like in like Whole Foods parking lot and I saw a mom with a kid walking in her hand and she had a jug of milk in the other hand, and just I was like, my brain just made the connection of like, oh, she's gonna feed that milk to that kid, but that's the cow's baby's food. Oh, we feed our babies the cow's baby's food. Oh, we eat their babies. And it was just that, that was the first connection.
Okay.
And so I think I was just kind of doing that on stage. And then later, another comic was like, hey, what about like milk cartons? And I was like, oh, that's great. But like what was great about that was he didn't really say the specific tag. Because sometimes people come up to you and they say like the very specific tag.
Yeah.
And I can't do it. I can't like add it to my thing because they've said it and it doesn't feel like me. But he just said, oh, milk cartons. And that was all he had to say. And I was like, oh, you're right. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And just added it to it there. And it was just the perfect bow to that whole thing. But it wasn't initially there. You know, it was just, oh, milk's for their babies. She's got a baby. She's giving that baby's food. And then eating that, you know. And then, yeah, so it just came from doing that a bunch of times in different mics and just kind of, I remember at first people weren't really into it. And that's what I need to remind myself of, I think, is a joke doesn't always work right away. I mean, sometimes it's great when it does, but sometimes kind of sticking it out sometimes is worth it.
How long would you say?
I don't know. It depends on how much you have faith in it. Like I was like, this is funny. There's something funny about this. There's some connection that's like great, and maybe maybe I'm not saying it right, you know, just trying to figure out what's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the problem is people just don't think it's funny and then move on. I don't know if there's like a specific time, but I had a friend that said he'd do joke 3 times. If it didn't work 3 times, he wouldn't do it. He's like a one-liner guy and maybe a little more like efficient about it. But to me, it's more, if it's a joke you really think is funny, figure it out. Find a way to make people laugh at it, because most ideas just need a tweak. They just need, the audience isn't where I am. That's usually what it is. If something made you laugh at some point, then it's funny in some way. And when you're retelling it, no one's laughing. It's like, are they not laughing because they don't see it the way I see it? Usually that's, to me, the problem. Then like Chris Rock said, like, you know, when a joke doesn't get a laugh, it's like the setup. It's not the punchline. So I believe in that philosophy where it's just like, get them on the same page that you were when it made you laugh.
Yeah.
Which is that's like with the cow joke. I like to lead them up to it and get them on thinking about it how I was thinking about it, and then make them laugh.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just get to the point too quick. You just say the joke. It's interesting. Like, I wasn't even thinking about that topic.
It's interesting because you did that joke. You did the cow's milk joke on Adam Devine.
Did I do it?
And you also, it was your first joke that you started with onConan.
Oh yeah.
So it was cool to see, and the cow's milk joke, I think it was that maybe you ended on it. So
yeah,
or it was in the middle. So it was cool to see.
I think they might have cut it. I think they cut it from Adam Devine's house party. So I think the crow joke was the only joke when I was doing Conan. That was the only one they let me do. Or maybe you're right. I think I definitely did the crow joke on both.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they put the cow joke, because I remember JP from Conan, I had wanted to do that, and I think he was like, okay, maybe only one that is a repeat from something else.
Oh, okay.
But I just felt so good about opening with the crow joke on Conan, because I just had been opening it with a bunch, and it was just like really helping me feel confident. And I knew that if I could do that joke, even though I'd already done it on another TV set, that I would get that audience in that moment to be on my side, and the rest of it would be like smooth sailing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I know I already did this one, but I think it's the right one to open with on like the Conan set, you know, because you want your Conan set to be perfect.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, you're like, I want to do this first because it will set me up in a way that I'll feel like.
Yeah.
It's like you get to do an act out. You get to,
You get to yell at the audience.
You get to yell. It like warms you up a little bit too.
Yeah.
It warms them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about. Like when you're putting together something like that.
Yeah.
Like, what will get me to where I need to be
I
to
want
make
like
them laugh?
It's like one of my favorite. It's like a crutch, pretty much, that joke. Like a lot of times, if it's like a rough bar room, that's like my go-to opening joke because you're shouting.
Mm-hmm.
The mic's not in my face, so it's like a different kind of noise for them. It'll kind of quiet the room down,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also super simple to understand. It's like crows. This is crows. We all seen crows. It's very relatable. But I'm always finding another like opener that works like that. That's just like, boom, here I am. Listen to me. Quiet in the back.
Yeah. Well, I liked that joke with, and also your bit about gay marriage and like cupcakes and like you set up this comparison, and then we just get to watch you make
play
those
with it.
and play with that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I think that's extremely challenging in the fact of like they can't see where you're going, and you don't want to like be tip your hand on it too much, but then because it also needs to be really not witty, but it also needs to be
clever
too. So
you can't just be like, it's like this, and then you just paint by numbers.
Yeah.
You know what, actually I'd say, now that I'm thinking about it more, sometimes I don't know how I structure my own jokes, but usually
I'm never gonna do those jokes again after this.
No, I'm going to, but like one thing that I feel like helps is just finding like an opening line sometimes, just kind of broaching the subject, like with that cows joke. It's like, they've taken it too far with cows is like how I open that, and that like sometimes that gets a laugh, sometimes it doesn't, but I think it's what helps me is it just kind of like, it's a quick odd way to introduce something. Like we weren't talking about cows. It's kind of, that's usually why it gets a laugh, I think, is I'm like, we've taken it too far with cows. Like,
you're like, here's my stance.
Like you've kind of
what is it
quickly it's like a little odd sentence, unrelated. You're not like, hey, the thing about cows is, I kind of like poking their interest a little bit. Like even with the crow joke, it's like I think I opened with like I had a bunch of crows outside my house. I try to make it a slightly weird thing to say, so that it just makes the audience kind of stop and go, what's he talking about? And then kind of explain it to them. I don't know. A lot of times that's how when I finally crack a joke, it's like, what's that first line to get people thinking about what I'm thinking about? And then then you get in there and you have fun.
Well, to kind of change, still about structuring your joke, but like the bit that you have about your dad towing the wrong person's car, that's a really long joke.
I mean, that's like my longest joke, I think.
Yeah, it's really long. And it's like thinking of structuring that. Is it just like you just think of like the linear actual how it happened,
Like, for sure.
Because I like telling stories on stage,
I almost just told that story the way my mom told it to me.
Oh, okay.
And then I started adding like the stoner, I mean the him obviously coming back and finding the car there. I don't know if that happened, but you add a little fluff. But I think for me, I'm not necessarily going to write it the right way the first time. I need to just say it over and over again and just find like, oh, this part's not working. What do I need to change about this part? Like I think with that joke, the efficiency of getting people, it is a long joke, so it's hard to set up the dynamic between my father and my sister because he tows her car. And it's so funny in our family because we know that he's always kind of like saving her out of these like situations, but he's also like hovers too much. Like he'll know when she overdraws her bank account before she does, and he'll call her and be like, oh my God, you did. So in our mind, it was like so funny that, they have this really like codependent, like intense, like he helps her too much. She doesn't want him helping. She kind of like, Dad, stop looking at my mail.
This is the younger sister?
Yeah, my younger sister.
That makes
so
sense then.
When he towed her car and it was not her car and he brought it, and it was kind of like it blew up. It was just like so funny in our family, which is, it's a funny joke without knowing that.
Yeah.
But I was having a hard time maybe I was talking too much about it at first, like, oh, my sister, this is what she's like, and it was just finding a quick way to be like, here's their dynamic, here's the story.
Yeah.
So that was the hard part for me with that joke.
I feel like you can get away with a lot of like that information about your dad by when you do his voice.
Yeah.
And the intensity in it.
Yeah.
Like I almost don't know what you really say about him, but just what you're saying and how you're saying it translates a lot of it. It's like, okay, he's kind of intense and maybe conservative and like, and then the mom comes in, you're like, did he bring her in on this? Like there's like another story that is happening around it.
Yeah, that's true. I have like my dad, he's so clear to me, like who he is. With the rest of my family, it's harder. Like even with my mom, I've always have a hard time like kind of explaining to people who she is. But I think it's because my dad is so easy for me to just like channel. Mm-hmm. Like I know exactly how his brain works, and I know, and his voice, and it's just like it rings in my head all the time. It's like he's the guy above me saying all that stuff. Like watch out for this. Don't go there. Don't go over here. Don't go over this. No, you have to watch out. But yeah, with my mom, she's like, I'm trying to find her more on stage a little bit. Because she's ditzy and kind of innocent and overreactive to things, but maybe because she's like, it's harder for me to do her voice.
Well, she's the one who told you the story, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe she has like, she didn't put herself into it, or I don't know, there's something like, you're not going to believe this.
And the best was, when he called my mom going like, I knew she was a pothead because she's not, this part's not in the joke, but it's like, that's why she's overdrafting her account. I think I had that in there, but it didn't make sense enough, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll stick it back in. Try to. But I remember him thinking like, this is all making sense. She's a pothead.
Oh man. He's cracked the case on this.
I would like to tell more stories, but I do find a hard time structuring stories.
It just stands out. It's like, oh my gosh, that's really long, and it's not like, oh, that was. When's the story going to be over? But it's like compared to your other jokes how you're setting up, I often think of like, what do I like to do? What would I rather do on stage? Either tell a story or write a bunch of short jokes that really don't mean anything, or like an experience. And when you think of structuring a 5-minute thing, you're like, well, do I just tell one story? Am I more of a storytelling comedian, or do I want to write just like clever jokes?
Yeah, that's hard. That's something that's no one can tell you, right? You got to find it yourself. What feels right?
Yeah.
What do you like? And what do you tell that's successful? Because that helps too. It's like sometimes the audience will guide you on what you are.
Yeah.
Like what comes out easy and gets the laugh. Oh, when I do this, people like it. I'll do more of that. I think.
Yeah. I mean, it was like maybe they're not laughing because you don't look like the person that would be saying that, or you don't look.
And don't let them like rule and make every decision that you make about yourself, but check in. That's what I love about stand-up. Like when you write like a sketch, you don't know exactly what's not working or what's working if it's not working. But with stand-up, it's easier. It's happening in the moment. They'll not laugh when you're not being funny, or when they don't get it. So it's kind of like an immediate, okay, what do I need to fix about that moment right there? Why didn't people laugh at that? But yeah, they're really helpful, the audience.
I want to do a quick time check because I know you. So it's just past. It's 3:39.
Okay, I should get going.
Okay,
gotta pick up the boy.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, how about one last question?
We can do a lightning round.
Yeah. Let's see, lightning round on this. We talked about structure, which was awesome. Acting stuff, preparing that. What would be, you kind of talked about this too, like advice to younger comedians, but what are a few things that people can do?
I would say one of the best things, and not necessarily in a competitive way, but just in a kind of being honest with yourself, make sure that if you're really, really want to make it in this business and you really are hoping to get ahead, just make sure that no one around you is working harder than you. Maybe they're working as hard as you, but don't, just use the people around you to check in with yourself and be like, am I working as hard on this as I can? So just, it's kind of fun, it's like be around people that work really hard at it and that are doing really good, and try to work with them and run with them and keep up pace. They'll kind of keep you honest. But then also have fun. Don't just do this to get ahead. It's a weird business to do if you're not going to have fun.
Yeah.
You could go work in a office somewhere and not have fun, but the reason you're doing this is because it's pretty fun. So have fun, but if you really want to make it, work really hard and try not to take anything too personally. That would be my 3 advice. Work harder than everyone around you. Don't take anything too personally, and have some fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks.
One last question.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. This one's fun. I like to do. It's the life billboard. If you had a billboard on if you had a billboard on Sunset in La Cienega, the one that it's right up there that Comedy Central usually has stuff on. What would you have on it? What would be the message or image or you'd want to put up there?
I would like it to be like a poster of a movie, like one of those posters where you look at and it's like the guy's in the middle and shit's going wrong and he's just kind of like, help me. Like, fuck, I'm fucked. I don't know what the movie is, but I wanted to be like a simple, maybe there's my clothes are tattered or something.
Okay.
Maybe there's a baby on one arm and someone yelling at me there and I'm just looking dead into the camera like, life, right? Life.
The movie.
Yeah, Life the movie.
That's the best answer I've had.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Where can they follow you? All your stuff is just your name on social media.
Instagram is probably where I'm most active. There's going to be a lot of baby pictures, so if you're not into that, I'm sorry. It's just Ahmed Bharoocha. Just my name on Instagram, Twitter. Don't really tweet much, but you can follow me there. I'll retweet my shows that people tweet at me.
Cool.
Facebook, and that's mostly it. You can watch Dead Kevin on YouTube. And Dream Corp.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance.
Oh, yeah, Dream Corp. Gotta watch Dream Corp. 2nd season's on Hulu, September 21st. It's my favorite season. I got a new hairdo that season. My character came alive. Yeah. Yeah, I really want people to see that show. 3rd season's coming out some point soon.
Yeah.
Or not soon, when they edit it.
Okay.
It takes a long time.
Well, maybe we can talk again just about Dream Corp when it comes out.
Yeah, I could talk forever about Dream Corp. It's fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.